Hi, Shemai, Sitaki, Kraisioi, Kristoi. How are you doing? How are you doing? You know, if you're having a good day, good. If not, hopefully this video will take your mind off things just for a little while, you know? Hopefully it'll cheer you up. Today we're talking about Fighting Fantasies Deathtrap Dungeon. And my oh my, what a good story it is. It is a cracking book, and you're in for a treat. You're in for a wild ride if you stick around. But before I go anywhere, what makes Fighting Fantasy books so good? What makes them so different? What makes them stand out? Well, a Fighting Fantasy book is sort of like a single-player D&D campaign in the palm of your hands. You gotta roll dice to generate your skill, your stamina, and your luck. All three stats will have an effect on how you play, and then you just sort of make your own character as you go. You know, you could be a human, an orc, a skeleton, or whatever. Essentially, you just gotta tweak the rules how you see fit. You know, an orc might have more skill, whereas a skeleton might have more stamina. You know, it depends on how you look at it, because a skeleton will be made of brittle bones. Probably best not playing as a skeleton. The rules of these books tend to be very, very simple. They're very hands-on. They are easy to homebrew. You can change them. Heck, if there's two of you, you can run the adventure side by side, where you both collect items, where you both tag team enemies, and where you both just take separate routes. Also, this book would be quite easy to turn into a D&D campaign. You know, if you sat there, you've just finished whatever you're doing, and you're wondering, well guys, what's the next adventure gonna be? You don't have to look much further, you know. Take Deathtrap Dungeon, turn it into a D&D campaign. You just gotta tweak some stuff, maybe add some monsters, remove some monsters, and you're good to go. So, I think it's about time we get this ride started, so I am gonna tell you why I love this book, and then I'm gonna put my waders on, get waist deep, and go in depth. You know, I'm gonna give you maybe like a minute or two, tell you why I love this book, and then I'll get stuck in. So Deathtrap Dungeon is very simple, it's very forgiving, and honestly it's quite fun. You know, you might deviate from the standard path, but it's gonna come back and reconnect you. You know, you're not punished for actually exploring, and you need to explore if you want to find out what happens to the other challengers that are in this trial with you. The items that you actually need to complete the journey aren't hidden in convoluted and stupid areas. You're not putting your hands up goblins' bums to find gems or whatever. They're just hidden where you're going past. You know, there might be a door to your left, you go in, boom, you got an item. You'll need that item. And this is what makes it so good, you know? You're encouraged to explore, and you're rewarded when you explore. The monsters that you encounter in this journey are actually really good. You know, there's a T-Rex, there's a mirror demon, there are, you know, goblins. They're pretty much standard. We all love goblins. You bump into orcs, there's a caveman. There's some cool stuff to be encountered in the gloomy corridors of Deathtrap Dungeon. All in all, this is probably one of the best dungeon crawling adventures that you can get in a game book, you know, and it runs really well. You know, the adventure is really fun, the characters are great, the encounters are fantastic, and you're not punished for actually looking around the place to try and find extra items that you might need. So, should you get this book? Yeah, get it. But I am going to have to stop myself there, because if I keep talking about this book, I'm just going to go on for hours. You know, I love this book. So I'm going to put my waders on, I'm going to get quite deep, I'm going to get stuck in, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritties of this book. So, let's go. So, Deathtrap Dungeon was originally published back in '84 by Puffin, and then obviously it went on to Wizards, and then Scholastic. This book sold really well, you know, which inspired a sequel. Although the sequel wasn't meant to be a direct sequel, you know, it was made canon in later editions. I think it's in the Wizard version it's made canon. And apparently this is Ian Livingstone's favourite book from Fighting Fantasy, and he even features in the book itself. You can bump into him in the book, which I think is really cool. Just checking the wiki here, and you know, it says that Ian Livingstone was inspired to write this book when he was trekking through Thailand, which I suppose makes sense because you bump into a statue of a celestial bodhisattva, which I thought was really cool. So if I read the very first page, it says, "Down in the dark, twisting labyrinth of Fang, unknown horrors await you. Devised by the devilish mind of Baron Succumbit, the labyrinth is riddled with fiendish traps and bloodthirsty monsters, which will test your skills almost beyond the limit of endurance. Countless adventurers before you have taken up the challenge of the Trial of Champions and walked through the carved mouth of the labyrinth, never to be seen again. Do you dare enter?" That is cracking, isn't it? But I think it's about time to talk about the covers. I love this bit. It is fun. We got some cracking artwork. I love talking about it, so let's go. So our first book cover is Puffins, and whether or not it's the green zigzag banner or the dragon, it features the blood beast itself, which in the book is a really nice encounter. You know, you can read about the blood beast in a library in the book, I believe, and all in all, I really like this one. You know, I personally thought that the blood beast will look like a tyrannid from 40k, but it doesn't. It looks like a snake with lots of eyes, but you read about the eyes in the book. It all makes sense, don't worry. And yeah, I just really like this cover, you know. If it's really 80s, isn't it? If you ask me for one word that describes this cover, I would have to say 80s, you know. This is probably one of my favourites, although personally I don't know. I don't know if I'd have the Blood Beast on a cover if I had to if I had to make my own edition. Maybe I'd feature the Mirror Demon. I'd probably just copy, you know, Wizard's edition with the skeleton on the throne. Next up, we have the Wizard's edition, and I'm going into this biased because I love Legions of the Gash in Age of Sigmar, you know, so I love fantasy skeletons, and this features a fantasy skeleton. On top of that, this actually depicts a scene from the book. You actually bump into this fella in the book, and you know, he's holding a scroll, he's holding a sword. That should scream, this bad boy's coming to life. And that's exactly what he does. He comes to life and he attacks you, which is fair enough. You're in, I suppose you're in his house. I don't know who this guy is, but he attacks you. You get a key item off him, and then you got to go. I love this cover. It's dark, it's morbid, it's creepy, and it sets the tone for Deathtrap Dungeon, in my opinion, really well. So I'm gonna have to say the Wizards is my favourite off the bat, but we're on to the next one. So the Scholastic version is green, isn't it? It's very, very, very green. It features the Blood Beast. The Blood Beast has been revamped. It has been redesigned. And all in all, I quite like it, you know. I think it looks pretty cool. It's very minimalistic. It will look good on your shelf. It'll look good on your coffee table. And that really is the thing about Scholastic versions, you know. All the covers are aesthetically pleasing. It's just I don't really like the change in art style. Yeah, the Blood Beast looks good, but he looks a bit friendlier, you know. He doesn't look as intimidating. But, you know, that's just my opinion. You know, if you think otherwise, feel free to leave a comment, you know. I will probably read it. I'll give it a like. But yeah, you know, if I had to judge these covers from first to third, I'd probably say the Wizard version is my favourite, and then second or third, you know, it's a tie more or less between the Puffin and the Scholastic version. You know, I don't hate the Scholastic version. I think they're pretty good by and large, but you know, it is difficult. I think it would have been better if it's a full art, because I want to see the full Blood Beast in all its glory. You know, but yeah, it's more first and then joint second this time. I like them both. So when talking about the story for this one, there's a good few pages. It gives you a bit of lore, a bit of background, and basically Baron Succumbit says he's made the Trial of Champions to sort of bring people in. You know, it's a massive attraction, and people come every year. Everyone comes to watch, and all in all, it's sort of like the marathon, I suppose. People get ready, they train throughout the year to do this, and then unfortunately they meet their end. Nobody has ever survived the Trial of Champions. But then you're sat there thinking, you know, this might not be my weekend, but this will be my year. So you go in and you're like, boys, I am going to take part, I am going to win, you know. 10,000 gold coins is up for grabs if you win. That is a lot of money in this universe. So you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to travel over, I am going to ace this challenge, and I'm going to be, you know, rich, and I'm going to buy some fat vapes. And that's exactly what you do. You're heading over, and then, you know, you just sort of ushered into the Trial of Champions. You got, well, there's a few of you. There's a ninja, there's two barbarians, there's an elf girl, and there's a knight in full plate, sort of looking like a RuneScape character. You know, so you'll go in, and that's really where the adventure starts. So you go into the Trial of Champions, you know, the Deathtrap dungeon, and you see a box on like a store, a pedestal, and you're given the option to open it. I'll just walk past it. You know, personally, I recommend opening it, and you do, and it's a gold coin. And a little note saying well done for actually using your heads and opening this bad boy. So then that is sort of, it's like a freebie, you know, it's like a free gift. And then you're on to the next bit of the adventure, which has you following either 3 pairs of footprints, or just 1 pair of footprints. And, you know, it's a nice little detail because you notice there's one missing, and that's from the ninja. The ninja is evidently pretty cool. He's probably just flying, he's gliding or something. He's not leaving no footprints, and that was quite interesting in my opinion. But yeah, this is down to you then, which way you want to go. It's either east or west, and if you go east, you know, nothing bad happens. You get some trials, you get some tribulations. It's, you get some, you could probably game over yourself there. But you find out what happened to the person that left those footsteps. It's nothing good, you know, but it is interesting. interesting. But then if you go west, you're sort of ushered into the first real trial. And, you know, it's up to you. I recommend going east, you get a bit more of your adventure. But you can just go west and, you know, you're not missing much. So I recommend going east because then when you encounter this next trial, you have a rope and you can use the rope to make it a bit easier. But if you go west, you can still do it, but it's a little bit harder. The first trial is this massive golden statue with 2 gems for eyes. And, you know, you need to steal one of these eyes to be able to complete the quest. And that's exactly what you should do. You know, you got to be careful though, because one of the eyes will just spray poison into your face, and then you have this agonizingly painful death. So then you sort of leave this room and you enter a corridor. You've given the option then to go into another room. There's a door, and if you do, you get a gold ring if you make the right choice. If not, you know, I don't know if this ring comes in handy. You know, there's a ring of wishes somewhere. I'm not sure if this is meant to be the ring of wishes. It's just not called the ring of wishes. But either way, your next main encounter will be this massive beam of light with these creepy laughing faces in it, and it's genuinely really creepy looking. But you know, if you walk through the beam, you're given a poem, and that poem then is meant to help you later on in the story. So then, because my notes aren't an exact walkthrough, I've just got the maggot blade listed as the second encounter, and I believe it's in a room, and there's a pit full of maggots, and you reach in, you steal the swanky looking sword, and then you get attacked by this giant bug. And the worst part about this room is, I don't think you need the sword. It's sort of like a red herring. There's a lot of items in this book that you don't actually need, and I think this is one of them. So then the next thing listed in my notes is just a random pit. And now I think this pit is quite substantial because you're given multiple options. You can either jump over it, you can throw your shield over it, and then jump over it, or you can just fall in. And this is the thing, you see. If you throw your shield just falls out your hands, and then you lose it forever. If you jump over it, well, good on you. But if you fall in, you fall in, and you get like a random item that you don't actually need, which is quite annoying to be honest, but you end up going to the same place anyway. So on my first journey, I fell into the hole, you know. I grabbed the rope and then I fell in, but then I ended up going to this room where this old man is, and there's loads of statues. He's basically sort of like a magical Medusa. He just turns you into stone, and this is where you encounter, well, you find out what happened to the knight, that bad boy. He got turned into stone. So then this guy gives you a riddle. You answer it right or wrong. You know, I couldn't work it out myself. You know, it seems like maybe it's a printing error. Maybe I've just got an IQ of 2. But I couldn't figure out his question. I just went through all of them until I got it right. But then if you, obviously if you get it wrong, he game overs you. If you get it right, you know, he buffs your stats a bit. I like this guy. It's a nice little encounter, and you get to see what happened to the knight. So your next main encounter then is actually the guy on the cover of the Wizards version. I'm not going to spoil it too much for you, but it's quite important, it's quite substantial, it's an interesting encounter. You're probably going to like it, you know, and then you sort of just go on then. You, obviously, if you read the book, it's going to make sense, don't eat the mushrooms, but then you go on to the next main encounter. So I think I only encountered this person in my first playthrough. I think I missed them in my second one, but it's the Mirror Demon, and I really like this fight. This fight is actually one of the coolest fights in my opinion, because she looks like something else straight out of Silent Hill. She's actually quite creepy, and I like the way that you fight this woman. But you know, it is what it is. You defeat the Mirror Demon, or you get game overed, and then you just move on. So then this really, I suppose, is the first half of the book, because the second half of the book has you travelling with one of the other contestants, and this bit is really where it picks up. It's really good, to be honest. The second half of the book is pretty stonking. I loved it. You know, you get a fair bit of lore. You follow this individual, and you bump into sort of like 2 books. You read both books. I recommend reading both books, because you get some tips that will help you later on in the book. And then you just sort of go on, you know. You go on to your next main thing. And then this really is like a trial master. He's really cool himself, and he's cool because you know, he's just quite he's quite creepy. You know, I can't tell if he's a fantasy dwarf or if he's just a human with dwarfism. You know, I think the art is a bit vague in this one, but you know, he's a dwarf, and he puts you through trials. The trials themselves are really good. They're quite interesting. They're quite fun. And then once you've sort of completed the trials, you're free to go. I think straight after finishing these trials, you have a chance to encounter another contestant, and you get a key item from them. But you know, you just sort of go on, and yeah, you know, there's some more trials that you can fail on, and then you encounter the Blood Beast. The Blood Beast is cool. He's on the cover of the Puffin and the Scholastic version, and if you read the books, you know, you're gonna have a bit of information which will help you during this fight, this trial, I suppose. And yeah, it's just a really good fight, to be honest. I really like the Blood Beast. So you're on to the final fight, and it's a manticore. And this manticore is actually quite dangerous. If you've gotten a tidbit of information or warning from a previous encounter, then you know it saves your life. If not, I think maybe it game overs you, or at least it cripples you. It does a lot of damage. But you know, this is the final fight really, and it's a really good fight. You know, win or lose, it's just fun. It's a really good fight. But then you're on to the final encounter, then the final end game sequence. Now this guy is a gnome, and you need 3 gems. You need an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. Otherwise, well, you get game overed. And then really, this bit is quite simple. You just need all the jewels. You need to put them in the right order, and then you've won. You've won the Trial of Champions. Now this gnome is he's a sneaky boy, and he tries distracting you as he does a runner, but then he gets like no scoped by a crossbow bolt, and you know he's game overed. But then you've won. Game over. You finished the Trial of Champions. You've got 10 grand in gold coins, and you're free to do whatever you want with them. Yeah, you're a celebrity, and you've got 10 grand in gold coins, and I really like the ending. It's really nice, you know. There's nothing really bittersweet about this one. You've just sort of mugged off the guy who's created this as sort of like a trap, and it's just a really nice ending. It's really satisfying, and that really goes to the story. The story itself's really good. The book's really good. The adventure's amazing, and you even find out what happens to all the other competitors. And spoilers, they're either game over by the traps, by the creatures, or you know, you game over them. And I thought that was really cool as well. It sort of feels like a multiplayer adventure kind of thing, but everyone else just goes on their own way. One detail that I really liked about the story is that it's only really you and one other competitor that could have completed the Trial of Champions. Really, the other guys were doomed the moment they left that statue in their room, because you needed one of the eyes. So I really liked that. It was really cool. But anyway, should you get this book? And I'm going to say, yeah, it's a really good book. It's a really good adventure. You know, I tried being a bit vague. I didn't want to spoil everything, because I just think it's just that good, you know. It sort of steals the thunder when you know what to expect, you know. I read this the first time. I didn't get all the jewels. I read it the second time. I got all the jewels. You know, it is what it is. If you fail the first time, you sort of know what to do the second time. It's just that nice of an adventure. I recommend getting this bad boy. But yeah, you know, that's really it. I've spoken about the book. I've given you my opinion, and I'm gonna have to end it here, unfortunately, or you know, maybe fortunately. But either way, the next book I'm talking about is Creature of Havoc. Hoping to get that bad boy up next Thursday, just so I have enough time to read it. I'm hoping to get a general book review up as well. You know, I've got this book. I've got this Notorious book behind me. It's the size of an A4 sheet of paper, but I've got it, and I'm hoping to review that bad boy. You know, just see what happens there. But either way, you know, I really do hope you have a really nice day, and I want you to take care. I want you to be here for the next video, you know. So take care, and have a nice day.